We're here today at Granny's Legacy Patterns, and we're going to be talking about the whipped backstitch. And you can see it here on our Folk Flourish project. It is this little stitch right here. And you can see the backstitch, and it's whipped over the top. So we'll show you how to accomplish that. And it's a lovely little stitch to add dimension to any wool applique. So I began by drawing the line I want to backstitch. And we like this Bowen Iron Off marker, and it goes on rather clear, and then you need to let it dry before you start stitching. If you start stitching when it's wet, it'll wipe right off. But if you just leave it to dry, it'll work just fabulously for you. So I have Valdani Pro Cotton size 12, and this happens to be the V15 thread. It's a gorgeous blue-green. I like embroidery needles, so this is the Wool Applique by Bowen. And I also love the Granny's Threadtastic to condition my thread with. So I have threaded my needle with not too long of a piece, not at the end, and now I'm just going to run it through the thread wax a couple times. And this just keeps your thread from fraying, thinning out, and knotting up on you. So we'll get started with the backstitch. Now, if you've been with us very long, you know that to start the backstitch, you always start in and come back. You don't start with a regular stitch to begin with. You start with your back going backwards right away. So I've come in, and now I'm going to go forward on my line. And I don't like to pull the back stitch up too tight or it flattens it out. I kind of like it to look more dimensional. So don't, if you like to pull it tight, that's fine. I like to leave mine not snug down too tight. Now for this whipped back stitch, you don't want to have too tiny of a stitches or you kind of lose the look. So I'm going to do a few back stitches and then I'll show you how we're going to whip that. It's such a simple stitch, but such a nice way to add dimension to your embroidery. And back stitches are quick and easy to do. So that gives me a chance to start my whipping. So I'm going to go down, and I have a nice line of back stitching. Now I find that to make it look best, I kind of start up here where the other one would have come out if there would have been more stitching. So I start on the right hand side of the last stitch I've done, and then I turn my work around and I use the eye of the needle. It's so simple. And you just push the eye of your needle through the last stitch that you've done and pull it through and just whip around those back stitching. It's so fun and so simple. And depending on how tight you pull it will give you a certain dimension. So that is the whipped back stitch. Now I'm going to pull it out because I want to show you something that I think might add interest. I'm just going to take that stitching out so you all saw how easy that was to do. So I'm going to pull that stitching back out, and we're going to try something else with this. I just have to get my thread to the back and knot it. Get a little knot in that. Get that out of the way. Okay. I'm going to try it with a double thickness of thread and see what more interest we can add to it with a double thread. So I have threaded my needle with the same V15, and I have chosen to fold it so that I have two colors of thread at the same time. So I have a green and a blue. Now I could have folded it so that it would have been all blue or all green. So that's a choice you can make when you fold your thread. You can ignore it entirely, or you could be precise with it and try to get certain colors showing. I've taken and threaded my needle and knotted both ends. Now I'm going to whip it with 2 strands and see what kind of dimension I can come up with. Once again, I'm using the eye of the needle under the back stitch and just working my way down. And I think it adds even more interest to have a double thread. So you can see how simple this is to just whip around through here. And when I get to the end, as far as I want to go with my whipping, I like to go down in a very specific spot, and I will show you. So I want to go down on the right-hand side, kind of off to that edge, so it completes that last whip. So I started on the left-hand side, but when I finished, I went down on the right-hand side so that it completed that perfect whip. And you can kind of use your thumb or pull your stitches up more perfectly. But that gives you that whipped backstitch. So thank you for joining us here at Granny's Legacy Patterns. You can find us on Facebook and online at grannyslegacypatterns.com.